Listen closely, my friends, for scary stories abound to keep you awake through the pitch black night. Oh, have I got a story for you?
Hey guys, this is Mondo, also known as Mr. 305 Paranormal, and this is Have I Got a Story for You. You may remember me from the episode where my wife Jenny and myself had with Mike, where it got to the point where I gave Mike the option to choose of one of two stories, either the Holy Bleep or the Physically Harmed story. For that episode, we chose to do the Holy Bleep one. Well, today, as promised, I am giving you all the Physically Harmed story. That story takes place in Casadega, Florida, back in January of 2022. My group was invited by a Spanish television channel called Univision to go film a Saw segment for a global news show called Primer Impacto. The segment was going to be regarding table tipping. And table tipping is a really popular way of being able to consult with spirit that originated back in the 1850s. Or the segment that particular day for the show was going to be what results we were going to get while doing that in the town that's known as the spiritualist capital of the world, Casadega, Florida. As we were waiting for the cameraman and the reporter to pick the location where they want the story to be filmed at and start unloading their vehicles and setting up their equipment, Jenny, my friend Joe, and myself, we decided to go up to the second floor to investigate and see what we would get. This room that we decided to go into, first it was myself and Joe. We entered in from the south. So this particular room, once we got in, we noticed that there was a south entrance where we entered and an eastern entrance. As we walked into the room, we kind of felt like an unwelcoming, kind of like uneasy feeling. It felt kind of heavy, if you will. So we introduced ourselves. We just said we wanted to communicate with them and see what we would get. As we're setting up our equipment in the room, we hear footsteps going up stairs, and then in a floor right above us, which we ended up finding out was an attic. We tell Jenny as soon as she enters the room about the footsteps, and she decides to go straight beeline towards the noise, and I end up following behind her, and she walks down a hallway and goes to where the entrance of the attic is. The door was not only closed, but it was also padlocked. So there was no way that any of us could have done that, or maybe someone else had walked in without us noticing. We had indeed heard spirit going up the steps. So we're setting up to do an investigation inside of a walk-in closet of that room. Joe and Jenny go inside of the walk-in closet with a pendulum, and they have a camera facing them and the entrance of the closet, and I was standing in the entrance with my digital recorders, and we were doing an experiment where I would ask questions, and they were yes and no questions, so that way we can see if those answers would correspond with the pendulums as they swung, and what direction they would swing would indicate a yes or no response. A little towards the middle of the investigation that we're doing the experiment, I feel like something is staring like right through me, from behind me, but they were staring right through me. It just felt very awkward. And my buddy Joe is kind of in the perspective like how you guys are. You're looking at me, so he can see you behind me in that eastern entrance. He sees the silhouette of someone, and what he ended up seeing was a shadow figure, and that's what was essentially staring right at me from behind. So as we continue on, we're trying to we're getting good evidence. All of a sudden, it almost feels like something is approaching me from behind, and what it felt like perhaps either like a couple fingers, but like kind of jammed up my shoulder blade. So I did kind of like this type of movement, like a jerk forward, and I ended up bumping into the closet frame. I ended up bumping into it, and that's what actually prevented me from going inside of the closet towards them. Mind you, remember, we had a camera facing the two of them and the entrance, so the camera picked up the audio of me bumping into the frame, as well as you can visually see how you can only see my hands and my recorders. You saw a lot of my arm going into the closet. It felt very awkward for a few minutes. Obviously, the pain, my shoulder hurt from bumping into the frame, but my shoulder blade, the bottom of it hurt for a few minutes. And what felt awkward was I can still feel those, like the fingers or whatever was used to go up my shoulder. I still felt like it was there. And it bothered me for quite a few minutes. But at the end, we decided to wrap up that investigation because the responses that we were getting weren't really of the friendly type. So we excused ourselves. We told Spirit, hey, we come in respect, and we thanked them for their time. We headed downstairs, and the first time we had an experience with the table tipping, and that was such an amazing time, and I highly recommend all of the viewers, please, if you get the chance to check out a table tipping event, please do so. Well, that is my physically harmed story. Still get goosebumps when I think about it. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you for your time. Mr. 305 out. Peace.